Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. We communicate now. Questioner. I have been thinking over the scope of this book, and will read this that I have thought. We are concerned in this communication with the evolution of mind, body, and spirit. I would like to fully investigate through questioning the mechanism of evolution in order to allow those interested individuals to participate in their own evolution. It seems to me that a good place to start would be the transition from the second to third density, then to investigate in detail the evolution of third density entities of Earth, paying particular attention to the mechanisms which help or hinder that evolution. This is my intent for direction of this working session. I hope that this is a correct direction. What I would like to know first is, do all entities make a transition from second to third density, or are there entities who have never gone through this transition? Ra. I am Ra. Your question presumes the space-time continuum understandings of the intelligent energy which animates your illusion. Within the context of this illusion, we may say that there are some which do not transfer from one particular density to another, for the continuum is finite. In the understanding which we have of the universe or creation, as one infinite being, its heart beating as alive in its own intelligent energy, it merely is one beat of the heart of this intelligence from creation to creation. In this context, each and every entity of consciousness has his will experiences each and every density. Questioner. Let's take the point at which an individualized entity of second density is ready for transition to third. Is the second density being what we would call animal? Ra. I am Ra. There are three types of second density entities which become, shall we say, enspirited. The first is the animal. This is the most predominant. The second is the vegetable, most especially that which you call sound vibration complex tree. These entities are capable of giving and receiving enough love to become individualized. The third category is mineral. Occasionally a certain location, place, as you may call it, becomes energized to individuality through the love it receives and gives in relationship to a third density entity which is in relationship to it. This is the least common transition. Questioner. When this transition from second to third density takes place, how does the entity, whether it be animal, tree, or mineral, become enspirited? Ra. I am Ra. Entities do not become enspirited. They become aware of the intelligent energy within each portion, cell, or atom, as you may call it, of its beingness. This awareness is that which is awareness of that already given. From the infinite come all densities. The self-awareness comes from within, given the catalyst of certain experiences, understanding, as we may call this particular energy, the upward spiraling of the cell or atom or consciousness. You may then see that there is an inevitable pull towards the, what you may call, eventual realization of self. Questioner. Then after the transition into the third density, am I correct in assuming that these entities would then be in, we'll take Earth as an example, the entities would then look like us? They would be in human form. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct, taking your planetary sphere as an example. Questioner. When the first second density entities became third on this planet, was this with the help of the transfer of beings from Mars, or were there second density entities that evolved into third density with no outside influence? Ra. I am Ra. There were some second density entities which made the graduation into third density, with no outside stimulus, but only the efficient use of experience. Others of your planetary second density joined the third density cycle due to harvesting efforts by the same sort of sending of vibratory aid as those of the Confederation send you now. This communication was, however, telepathic rather than telepathic vocal, or telepathic written due to the nature of second density beings. Questioner. Who sent the aid to the second density beings? Ra. I am Ra. We call ourselves the Confederation of Planets, in the service of the infinite Creator. This is a simplification in order to ease the difficulty of understanding among your people. We hesitate to use the term sound vibration, understanding, but it is closest to our meaning. Questioner. Then the Confederation also aided in the second density to third density transition. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. We must qualify correctness of this query. A portion of the Confederation which is not working with third density, but finds its aid best used in other harvests, that is the second density harvest, is responsible for aid in these harvests. The Confederation, as we have stated previously in these sessions, is composed of many of those in other densities, in your own density, within your planetary sphere, and within the inner or angelic realms. each of those entities developing a mind-body-spirit complex, and then developing a social memory complex, and then dedicating the social memory complex to the singular service to the one creator, may join the confederation. Questioner. Well, did the second density to third density transition take place then 75,000 years ago? Approximately. Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. Where did the second density beings get physical vehicles of third density type to incarnate into? Ra. I am Ra. There were among those upon the second density plane those forms which when exposed to third density vibrations became the third density, as you would call sound vibration, human entities. That is, there was loss of the body hair, as you call it, the clothing of the body to protect it, the changing of the structure of the neck, the jaw, and forehead in order to allow the easier vocalization, and the larger cranial development characteristic of third density needs. This was a normal transfiguration. Questioner. Over approximately how long a period of time was this transfiguration? It must have been very short. Ra. I am Ra. The assumption is correct, in our terms at least within a generation, and one half, as you know these things. Those who had been harvested of this planet were able to use the newly created physical complex of chemical elements suitable for third density lessons. Questioner. Can you tell me how this new bodily complex was suited to third density lessons, and what those lessons were? Ra. I am Ra. There is one necessity for third density. That necessity is self-awareness, or self-consciousness. In order to be capable of such, this chemical complex of body must be capable of the abstract thought. Thus, the fundamental necessity is the combination of rational and intuitive thinking. This was transitory in the second density forms operating largely upon intuition which proved through practice to yield results. The third density mind was capable of processing information in such a way as to think abstractly and in what could be termed useless ways, in the sense of survival. This is the primary requisite. There are other important ingredients. The necessity for a weaker physical vehicle to encourage the use of the mind, the development of the already present awareness of the social complex. These also being necessary. The further development of physical dexterity in the sense of the hand, as you call this portion of your body complex. Questioner. This seems to be a carefully planned or engineered stage of development. Can you tell me anything of the origin of this plan for the development? Ra. I am Ra. We go back to previous information. Consider and remember the discussion of the logos. With the primal distortion of free will, each galaxy developed its own logos. This logos has complete free will in determining the paths of intelligent energy which promote the lessons of each of the densities given the conditions of the planetary spheres and the sun bodies. Questioner. I will make a statement with respect to my understanding, then, and ask if I am correct. There is what I would call, a physical catalyst operating at all times upon the entities in third density. I assume this operates approximately the same way in second density. It is a catalyst that acts through what we call pain and emotion. Is the primary reason for the weakening of the physical body and the elimination of body hair, etc., so that this catalyst would act more strongly upon the mind and therefore create the evolutionary process. Ra. I am Ra. This is not entirely correct, although closely associated with the distortions of our understanding. Consider, if you will, the tree for instance. It is self-sufficient. Consider, if you will, the third density entity. It is self-sufficient only through difficulty and deprivation. It is difficult to learn alone for there is a built-in handicap, at once the great virtue and the great handicap of third density. That is the rational intuitive mind. Thus, the weakening of the physical vehicle, as you call it, was designed to distort entities towards a predisposition to deal with each other. Thus, the lessons which approach a knowing of love can be begun. This catalyst then is shared between peoples as an important part of each self's development as well as the experiences of the self in solitude and the synthesis of all experience through meditation. The quickest way to learn is to deal with other selves. This is a much greater catalyst than dealing with the self. Dealing with the self without other selves is akin to living without what you would call mirrors. Thus, the self cannot see the fruits of its beingness. Thus, each may aid each by reflection. This is also a primary reason for the weakening of the physical vehicle, as you call the physical complex,